Hello everyone and welcome to Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimberley at Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. Let's start tonight's program by giving you some updates that you need to know, especially on the unresolved controversies surrounding the Imo senatorial seat. A state high court sitting in Owerri, the Imo State capital, has vacated the court order gotten by the All Progressives Grand Alliance restraining the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from issuing certificate of return to Senator Ifeanyi Ararume as the authentic winner of the December 5th Imo North Senatorial District by-election under the All Progressives Congress APC. Delivering the judgment, the presiding judge, Justice Eugene Agada, who incidentally granted a court injunction to APGA in the first place, overruled his earlier judgment, giving reasons that his attention was not drawn to the actual provisions of the law, precisely Section 251 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which states clearly the issue of a want of jurisdiction on the 18th of March. A federal high court sitting in Abuja ordered the INEC to issue a certificate of return to Ifeanyi Ararume within 72 hours as the authentic winner of the based on the result of the election, based on the result of December 5, 2020 Imo North Senatorial by-election. And later same day, a state high court in Owerri, presided over by Justice Eugene Agada, issued an order of interim injunction to INEC restraining it from recognizing Senator Ararume as the winner of the December 2020 Imo North Senatorial candidate of the APC. Our attention tonight is on President Buhari's medical trip to London and the state of the nation. Before we get into that, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
A federal high court sitting in Abuja has fixed April the 16th to deliver judgment on the suit challenging the legality of the 3-month tenure extension granted to the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, by the President. Justice Ahmed Mohammed adjourned the matter for judgment after all the parties adopted their final briefs of argument. Listed as defendants in the suit, which was brought before the court by a constitutional lawyer, Mr. Maxwell Opara, are President Buhari, IGP Adamu, the Attorney General of the Federation, and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, and the Nigeria Police Council. The Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma, has tasked members of the APC Constitution Review Committee to do everything possible to come up with a document that will move the party forward and make APC the envy of other political parties, not just in the country, but Africa at large. The governor made this statement after receiving the APC Constitution Review Committee, led by the chairman, Professor Maman Tahir, SAN, at the APC state headquarters in Owerri, the Imo State capital. According to the governor, leaders of the party in the southeast have pledged to ensure that APC remains the dominant party in the southeast in subsequent elections, maintaining that the popularity and strength of the party presently is encouraging.
APC, honestly, is now the party to beat in the southeast.
The Yoruba Progressives Union has criticized the federal government's decision to expend the funds retrieved from a former governor of Delta State, Mr. James Ibori, on the completion of the second Niger Bridge, the Lagos-Ibadan and Abuja-Kano expressways. Speaking to journalists in Abuja shortly after submitting a petition at the registry of the Federal Ministry of Justice, the President General of the Union, Mr. Joe Omene, says it is double jeopardy for the people of Delta who were deprived of the benefit of the funds originally meant for projects in the state to again lose it to the federal government.
The federal government can disburse the money, can use the money, utilize the money only for projects that are in Delta State. If that is done, we have no objection.
Thank you, everyone. So let's begin. President Muhammadu Buhari has departed for London in the United Kingdom for a routine checkup. The presidency had said he will be away for about 2 weeks since assuming office. Buhari has embarked on several trips to the UK to seek medical care, but he has not been to the UK since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. He's expected back in the country in the second week of April. Before the president's departure, he met with service chiefs and ordered them to identify leaders of bandits and kidnappers and take them out to restore confidence and normalcy in the affected areas. The president gave the directive as a first assignment to the service chiefs and declared that he would no longer condone a situation where kidnappers set the tone. At the briefing after the security meeting, the National Security Advisor, General Babangana Monguno, told State House correspondents that the president has issued a warning to all those collaborating with criminals, promising to deal decisively with them. Tonight, we have the president's spokesperson to give us some more insight on this matter. Mr. Garba Shehu joins us from Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Mr. Shehu. Let's begin by getting to know what more can you tell us about the president's trip to the UK?
Thank you for giving us this opportunity and to say that, as you rightly said, it is a medical trip, and about this, there is absolutely no urgency, no emergency. The president is not in any sick condition. It's a routine medical checkup. The president has undertaken this with a set of doctors that he has retained over many, many years. He has done this before he came into office in 2015. And he has continued to do that without any disruptions. But for last year, 2020, as you rightly said, he couldn't make it because of travel restrictions that COVID epidemic has imposed on the global community. So it's routine, and we're hoping that the president would come back in good time and continue with the work that he's doing.
Because of the COVID-19, he couldn't travel. Was there any situation where maybe we had the doctors come to him?
No, absolutely no. There is no record of such. The president has enjoyed an extraordinarily good run of health. When you see his classmates, when they come visiting, you would think that a president really is a blessed person. So he's just, fit and doing well in himself. That's what I want to say. He just chose this moment because, it's like a holiday season, because Friday, as you know, it's a national holiday, and Monday is so he's taking advantage of the Easter season to just go and check up. Otherwise, he's been very well and doing quite fine.
Is he going to be working from London, or he has transmitted power to the vice president?
He will continue from wherever he is. The requirement of the law is that the president is going to be absent in the country for 21 days and more, then that transmission is warranted. In this particular instance, it is not warranted.
Be any need for maybe papers to be approved by him or signed by him, or would there be any need to take things to him in London?
Well, in this age of improved communications, as a matter of fact, before he left, you just mentioned the meeting with the military chiefs. We had excellent time with the vice president, with the secretary to the government, with the chief of staff. So he has taken it all around. If it is warranted, these are transmissible by wire. So the internet is there, and the president is happily equally internet service. So therefore, work can continue without any disruptions from whichever location he is.
COVID is a very major factor traveling these days. Is the president expected to quarantine considering the UK policy on COVID-19?
Well, the president is a law-abiding person. We have our own laws, also regulations with regard to that. Foreign elements who come here should observe what we do, and I imagine that the president will equally be observing regulations as put down by the UK authorities.
So perhaps the same thing will happen when the president returns to the country?
Well, obviously, the president encourages everyone to go observe the rules. He will not be the one to break them.
Well, I don't know if the second jab of the COVID-19 vaccine will be ready before the president returns. Should that happen, will he be taking the second jab over there?
No, I think that the regulations put down here gives you 3 clear months from the first jab. So look to the maybe middle of or the third week of May for the president's second jab. He will have returned by then.
Let me also ask this. Did the president travel with the First Lady or any member of his family?
No, I'm not aware of that. We were at the airport. He alone with the personal close personal aides entered the plane. If family members would be with him, it must be by a different arrangement.
Today, the president leaves for London, and incidentally, tomorrow morning, resident doctors across the country will be on strike. Has he intervened in that matter, or has he asked someone else to intervene on his behalf in the cabinet?
Well, the government has been engaging them all this while, and I believe that we have a very competent Minister of Labour who has enormous experience in the field. Governor Ngige is doing the right thing, and I'm sure he will handle it well. I hope there will be no strike by tomorrow.
I'm asking this question also because of the situation of our health system in the country. In 5 years, it is expected that this administration should have put in place a top-notch hospital and medical facility to take care of the president, especially considering a report which states that Nigeria spends about $1 billion on medical tourism. Isn't this an embarrassment to the government to have not been able to put together a top medical facility instead of adding to the expense of medical tourism?
Well, let me first of all say I'm not making promises, but I'm aware that the kind of hospitals you are talking about, there are a number of projects that are ongoing, especially here in Abuja. I know that the NNPC, yes, people will ask, why NNPC? The NNPC is putting up this kind of hospital in Abuja. This country's National Intelligence Agency is putting up world-class facility. So there are projects that are going on approved by the president. But outside of this, it must be said that all of these things, they are a function of the resources that are available to the country. When the Minister of Health goes to the National Assembly to ask for funds, the Minister of Defense will be there and he is going to be talking about security. The police will ask for more money because they need to buy weapons and recruit people, agriculture, everyone. So whatever is in the basket, there's a big struggle for it. And then the National Assembly plays a role. Executive arm has its own part. But by the time the budget is finally out there, you will find that sometimes the spread is so thin on the ground that we are not able to achieve much of it. So it's a function of funding, and we hope that revenue agencies are being asked to do more. We hope that they'll be generating more money so that we'll be spending more on health and other critical sectors of society.
Okay, let's take a breather. But when we come back, we talk more about this president's trip, what is the state of the polity, and of course, the standing order that he gave to the service chiefs and what this means for our people in Nigeria. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
Mr. President has made it very, very clear to both the intelligence and operational elements that their first assignment will be to identify the leaders of these bandits and kidnappers and take them out in order to restore confidence in those areas. Mr. President has said that he will no longer tolerate a situation whereby bandits and kidnappers are the ones dictating the pace and setting the tone. And he will not also condone a situation in which our own operations are reactionary rather than being proactive. He has also indicated his willingness to provide all the resources required by our own troops in order to put down these criminals. I'm also to send out a warning to those people who think they can continue to behave in a manner that undermines national security. Those people are engaging in all kinds of underhanded, unscrupulous, mischievous, and deceitful practices. People who are working with those that are in government, in particular critical agencies of government. We have been able to identify certain areas that are weak, and these areas have to be strengthened so that these characters who are engaging in acts that you can describe as, outright acts of, brigandry, people who are behaving in a manner that portends a lot of danger to innocent lives, have to be fished out.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. President Buhari is in London, hopefully, the last time we checked, he was on his way to London. Well, Mr. Garba Shehu is the president's spokesperson, and we've been talking to him about some of the details that we need to know as regarding that trip and the state of the polity. Thank you, Mr. Shehu, for your time tonight. It's also critical to know, because when you say that this government is going to ensure that there will be a reputable medical facility that can take care of the kind of situation that the president has gone to take care of in London. The question will be, you've not been able to do that in 5 years. What is the assurance that you can make that happen in 8 years?
Well, we have, don't forget that this thing just can't drop from the sky. Some of these projects are driven in part by money from private sector, and even technology and the specialists that you need. You obviously have to reach agreements with the suppliers from abroad and all of these things. So yes, it will take time, but the important thing is that we are making progress, we are getting somewhere. In addition to that, I don't have a litany. I hope the Minister of Health will give you on another day. But I know that a number of hospitals, including the Saudi German hospital, the reputation in the Middle East and all of that, they also have a request, and I think that request has been okayed by the FCT, that they set up a facility in Abuja here.
Mr. Shehu, how do you explain also, because some of the figures that will, to fix a medical facility or a top-notch hospital, we require money, but money doesn't seem to be the problem, considering the fact that about over 13 billion was said to have been spent on the State House Clinic in 5 years. And there is also a budgetary provision of over 1 billion naira for the State House Clinic upgrade. And the Senate committee chair at the time had said that will end any kind of foreign medical trip, especially for those at the State House or a president, for example. Where does that leave us? How do we account for those kind of monies that have been spent, and now we still have the president to travel?
Now, I think that unfortunately there is the misperception of the president's trip, seen in the context of medical tourism. President Buhari is not a medical tourist. If somebody has kept a retainership with medical experts, you are talking about maybe 30 years and plus. Each year they review you and they examine you and they give you a pass or an advisory on what to do. Would you, given this position, would you yourself be changing your doctors every other year because there's a chance that the distance would be shortened? No, I think that the president is wise and quite correct in his decision that he retains consistently a set of doctors who have ensured good health for himself.
Let's move on. Let's move away from the president's medical attention to some of the issues relating to the activity of the president before he traveled and the order he gave to the service chief. The president gave an order that the leaders of the bandits and kidnappers should be identified by the service chief. Is there any clear-cut intelligence that we need to know right now of some kind of unified leadership of these criminals?
Well, first of all, it is important that your viewers also understand that the president didn't spank their heads. Rather, he really was appreciative of the positive and the pragmatic approach they have brought since their assumption of office. He has commended their decisiveness in dealing with the security challenges of the country, and he has asked them to sustain the momentum. Clear indication is that all the problems have been solved, but we are getting somewhere. Look at the major breakthrough that the police achieved in the southeast. It's shocking to many Nigerians that places of worship and the farmland, farms are being places, I use as places where killers of policemen and naval officers and military are being harbored. This discovery is shocking, but this is going on all over the country as we speak to you now. The new service chiefs are working with the Inspector General of Police and the heads of the intelligence agencies, and there is a clear lead. As Governor Fayemi, who is the chairman of the Nigerian Governors, said 2 or 3 days ago, there's a clear lead, connection now established between kidnapping, banditry, and the terrorism in the country, especially in terms of financing. I'm not going to give you the numbers, but there are a number of people who are currently under arrest, who are handling money. Bureaus de change that are facilitating money to terrorists. We have already worked with the United Arab Emirates. Convictions have been achieved of Nigerians who are transferring money to Boko Haram terrorists. And this is also happening domestically. And I tell you that by the time they finish this investigation, the shocking details would surprise many Nigerians.
Are there links of some of these people that you have mentioned tonight that are political in nature?
I don't want to say that, because before you know it, opposite numbers in the PDP will pick this and say there is a witch hunt that is being launched. All I want to say is that the president is determined that there will be law and order and there will be punishment for crime in this country. Whoever involved, pray to God that you are not a politician. But if you happen to be one, it will not save you.
Perhaps on a final note, since the president has said, identify the leaders of these bandits and kidnappers, and we have some information as to the linkage of all of these criminalities and these evil activities. Is the government, or what can you tell us about activities in bringing back the abductees? Especially the latest one that we saw in Kaduna and in other places. The government said it will not negotiate, or it will not handle them with kid's glove. But is there any effort ongoing in terms of negotiation or talks with these kidnappers or bandits in bringing those who are abducted back home?
Yeah, the government of Kaduna State, from what we are hearing from them, they haven't closed the door to negotiated freedom for these Nigerians. What the governor said, and strongly supported by the federal authorities, is that there must not be ransom payments. But the governor has encouraged their religious leaders. Some of them have been there in front, talking to bandits and their friends. And so if this is able to yield the freedom for these unfortunate brothers and sisters, we hope that it does. But all options are on the table, except payment for ransom.
Mr. Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
And that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Seun Okinbaloye. Bye-bye.